This is the CW Spiral, a podcast run by three survivors of the CW's colon in 2022. We're your hosts, Sabrina Reed,
Michael Patterson,
and Reed Gaudens,
bringing you history about the network and the WB, the latest news and in-depth Sporterville discussions of the best and messiest shows to ever grace the small screen. So we have happy news. A CW queen is coming back to the network. Leighton Meester, Miss Blair Waldorf, Queen Bee, the one who ran it all, is going to be in a new show called Good Cop, Bad Cop. They need to work on the name. And it's a procedural coming in 2025. Interestingly, it's filming in Australia this spring, which we're still doing international, though it's set in the Pacific Northwest, so we will be stateside in the show, but living our lives in Queensland when they're filming. You guys, when you heard the news, what did you think?
I'm so excited. I've been waiting for the founding mother to return to the mothership, and here she is. She's gonna save the day. I could feel it.
It feels like a full circle moment for our pod. We keep saying how someone's listening, but we started season 3 manifesting good things for Leighton after watching her in Tarzan. You know what? Didn't expect it to turn out like this in the present day, but here we are. We will that into existence. And again, this reminds me of when we saw Wildcard show up on our timeline. It was like, oh, I could get into that. Here we are, just ahead of the season finale, in love with that show. I feel like we could be the exact same here with Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is it's going to be a dramedy, which is kind of
Mhm.
what Wildcards is too. It's going to be a 1 hour procedural that's centered around Lou, that's Leighton Meester's character, and her brother Henry, played by Luke Cook, which y'all know from Dynasty. Um,
Mhm.
And he's in
and
Katie Keene too.
yes, because
Mhm.
he was the fashion designer.
Yes.
Um,
I
they
won't let them
are.
forget you, Katie Keene.
I actually thought about Katie King during a ride. But anyway, the two are an odd couple, sister and brother detective team on a small police force in the Pacific Northwest, and they must contend with colorful residents, a serious lack of resources, and their very complicated dynamic with each other and their police chief, who is also their father, Big Hank, which cool. I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm already nervous about them potentially having chemistry that people ship.
yeah. Yeah. Like hopefully not. Hopefully it does really give sibling
Yeah.
in a
Mhm.
way that we need no lingering looks. No, nothing that would make you, if you were watching the promo, you'd be like, oh cool, new couple on CW, and one of them goes, ugh, she's my sister. Like, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
it wasn't given that. It wasn't given that dynamic.
Yeah, and although on that note, I do love the cast. I just wanted to say it. We talked about our Queen Leighton. We've talked about Luke. I also am a big fan of Clancy Brown. He returns to the CW after being in General Eileen in the Flash season 1.
Mm.
And I of course know him. He also voiced Lex Luthor in Superman the animated series and Mr. Freeze in the Batman. So he certainly gets around the entertainment world. So it's nice to see him back. I love that. It sounds like a bit of like an odd couple kind of dynamic between the three of them in the same kind of place. Ready for it. Can't wait.
Dare I say a good pairing with wild
hmm
cards?
Mm-hmm.
hmm
For sure.
hmm
Now, the big question though is, are we doing too many procedurals?
I think that's a very good question, actually. I mean, maybe.
Because we have, I mean, Wildcards is coming back, manifesting that season. I mean,
hmm
it's a hit for the show, for the CW, but Sight Unseen is about to launch in April. Um, and we will have Good Cop, Bad Cop as well. Not to mention, now it could be that they're just trying to get in to fill the schedule wherever they decide to put the shows when they figure out what their lineup is going to be seasonally for to reel people in who like Crime Nation
hmm
and that was that Hostage Rescue and Police 24/7.
hmm
Well,
Like we did say they needed to be able to keep those people if they're gonna have those programs. And Wild Cards, Good Cop, Bad Cop, and likely Sight Unseen would do that.
hmm It feels like they're starting to manifest the beginnings of a potential new identity. I don't think we can fully comment on that until we see what the other procedurals are like. But if they're anything in the vein of wildcards and are at least 3/4 as successful, I think it might have found a bit of a footing in carving out this new identity, dare I say.
True. I completely forgot about the Spencer Sisters though,
Oh,
which I
aye, that's
believe
right.
is a procedural.
That's true. Well, we have Sullivan's Crossing. Or
So
we, I say we, they.
that's a drama. The All American will likely survive. So in that universe together, dramas. Walker drama. So I do see we might be half procedural,
Hmm.
half regular story arc dramas. But yeah, so I guess like you're right, Michael. It's too early to think we're being overrun by procedurals. But am making a note there are quite a few of them.
Hmm. You can see the
Let's
trend.
let's diversify it before it gets
Hmm.
scary out here.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do want to say, I feel like I see like every few months a tweet about like, oh, Leighton Meester's so underrated, and it's usually with that music video she did with Cobra Starship, and it's just often like renewed discourse around her and how whatever. Anybody who's tweeted that, watch this. I don't want to hear like, oh,
Hmm.
she's in a new show. Watch it.
yeah.
Watch it.
hmm They need to, because I mean, this is how she'll get her things. If you watch the show, whether you like it or not,
Hmm.
give it time to cook past
You
the
gotta
premiere
start.
because people abandon ship.
You can't be tweeting things like that and then not support.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
like complaining about politics and not voting.
Right. Yeah. This should
Hmm.
be the moment they're waiting for.
Yeah. But that's the only news so far. I mean, that's basically going to be the case until we get a little bit closer to the premieres for All American, All American Homecoming, and Walker, since they're all dropping in April. Basically, the whole lineup they've been waiting to release is coming in April. Um, but as a reminder to Superman and Lois fans, we're waiting to the fall.
Yep. We here. We holding on. Our
Yes.
day will come soon.
Hopefully upfronts in May. They'll
Fingers
drop
crossed.
something.
Yeah. Few more months. We got this.
We do. But moving into Ride, which, I actually am okay with the episode, but I've seen it twice now. So, like, but I know, Reed, you were like, we need a little bit more.
I was bored. Sorry.
Yes. But, like, okay, so did it pick up for you at all by the time they got to the end? Or did you
It
feel
was
like
just the
that didn't
last
pay off?
scene. I
Mm,
don't know. Like I had been so I don't like being like coming off as a hater, but I was like so checked out on the episode that by the time Blair did her whole like I have to tell you guys something, fade to black, I was like, I don't even know what she's gonna say. I
mm.
don't know if I know what she's gonna say. I don't know
Hmm.
if I also care. What did they reveal? What is she gonna say? Did I miss it? Did I like check out?
No, you didn't
That
miss it.
that was
Okay.
the cliffhanger.
Because
Mhm.
Um,
Cash seemed to know, right?
yeah, they implied that anyway. Because he came in with her, and he wasn't with her in the previous scene.
I
Um,
don't know. They're asking me a lot they're asking a lot of me regarding Valeria. Like I
uh,
thought we were already like done with that. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
it yeah, it was strange to see it come back. And I knew we were going there because the previously that I seen had that weird man on it, and then he showed up early in the episode. Um, Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, Reid. I thought the whole episode was very slow moving. I think for me it started picking up a little earlier than that when all the family conflict happened, but at the same time, that's not the conflict I was waiting for. I don't really know what had contributed to the episode, and I'm like, everything's just going wrong. People are acting up. They're all annoying me, and I don't know if I like this or not. At least I felt something because I didn't really feel anything for the first half of the episode. Um, yeah, it was kind of slow getting there.
Also,
Mm.
the stadium stuff.
Not for you.
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I think it is interesting because me, I enjoyed the episode. Mainly because I liked that it gave, well, not everybody something to do. Tough was bringing in champagne bottles and fiction
He
chairs,
was waxing a
but
car.
yes, he didn't have much to do in this episode.
It
But
was 11 minutes before he made his first appearance. That was an observation. It was like 11 minutes.
I like that I like episodes, where we're rushing around to do the big thing, right? It's supposed to
Mhm.
be um the big event that we're all doing. The issue, I guess, structurally for this one is we don't know the bride. And so the her not getting married at the end, especially because we also don't know the groom, kind of deflates the balloon.
Yeah, why do we care?
Like it really is more of a service to Gus because that's how we know that Gus has trauma from being left at the altar. Which sorry, Gus. Um, but I also felt like it gave an insight to Valeria a little bit in terms of like just how much she knows about materials for dress for clothing. And she fixed the dress. I thought that was really nice and cool. I don't know. I think it's for me, it's like the little seated information about the characters that worked. I like the
Mhm.
horseback riding between Missy and Gus's sister, which I'm sorry, I do not remember her name at this moment in time. Um,
Want to see if I wrote it down. Was it Laura by any chance? No.
that sounds correct to me. So I'm just
Okay.
going to say
Gonna
Laura.
go with that.
Yes. But we don't know her, but I did like her. I think the thing is, I guess they felt that we needed to know the little girl's mom, the niece we've been seeing running around, which seems more like Gus's child because she's with him all the time. Um, but it gives an insight more, I guess, to the Bookers. I think if the Bookers are more established in the plot besides Daniel, you would feel connected to this hoity-toity family and what they mean to the McMurrays.
hmm
I do understand what y'all are saying, but still, I don't know. I sat in my vanilla and I enjoyed it.
I don't know. When you have me itching for the 1.5 speed button that does not exist on Peacock. I don't know. It's honestly probably just me.
It's
It's
not.
my
I get
own.
it.
Okay. I try to
um,
take ownership of when I don't like something. But yeah, it just was not for me
Mhm.
as
I,
an
w-
episode.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and completely sound like a hypocrite over what I just said. I feel like in the midst of that 40 something minute episode, there was a great episode, but the final product was not what we ultimately got because the opening scene, I mentioned it to you guys off pod, the opening scene between Missy and Valeria dragged on and on and on. And then there was another scene, I think, between the two of them later on that dragged on and on and on. Every scene was so unnecessarily long, so that, like I said, when a character like Tough surfaces us, it was 11 minutes in. The you hit the nail on the head, Sabrina. We would have cared more if we knew Laura, knew more about this woman, and actually cared about this family, but we don't. So it was hard to get invested in it. That's also the fact that the groom was turned into this kind of like well-rounded character, even though we never saw this man. Again, left me feeling a little bit empty. The Bookers aren't easy to like, so didn't really care about them either. And this episode kind of just threw in 11th hour drama that didn't exist in order to make the plot move forward. Like, for example, Gus's backstory about him being left at the altar. We didn't know that until this episode, am I right?
No, we
Um,
didn't know.
so
Mm-mm.
again, and the only purpose that served was so then Gus could go against Missy in the end. Who's like, well, I know what that feels like, and now you've made my sister do it to someone else. Um, Again, would have carried more weight if we had found that information out. Missy didn't have to know, but we could have found it out earlier. That would have made more sense. There's another thing that I'm missing. I forgot about as well. Um, the fact that we never met Laura, the fact that we never until this point, the fact that we never met the groom at all. Again, just 11th hour drama to make this episode work. And then speaking of 11th hour drama, we spent all 10 of those previous hours setting up for this wedding, only in the 11th hour for it not to happen. It just felt like the episode was kind of, it had all the ingredients there, but it just didn't make a nice meal out of them. And it kind of like, we got a solid 5 minutes of good drama for me. The rest of it was just a bit slow moving. Great scenes, like I said, Missy and Laura on the horse, amazing scene, but it was just lost in the midst of everything else that was going on in this episode.
Mhm. I think if this was network TV, the guests would have started arriving by the time that Laura made her decision, and someone would have seen her go away in that Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Like and then just with the cans clanking down the dirt road because I think it is 11th hour drama, but it's not peak drama. It's like it's very low simmering drama that you don't get the bite you're looking for. Even in the
Mm.
relationship with Valeria and Cash, you we start moving forward. I know deep breaths, Reed, because it is just. I will say, the first time I watched this, I did feel like, at least with Valeria and Cash, my time was wasted because we spent so much of it doing the will they won't they. They say will in the first half of the episode, and then he's like, actually, you know what? I think you're right. And she's like, yes, I have seen how you're feeling about Missy. And it's
She
like,
walked
what's
away
the
and
point?
cried, and I'm like, I don't care. But it's the whiplash of the storyline because like one episode it seems like they're like we're getting there, we're on a rolling boil, and then they dump the pot of water out and it's back to Cash and Missy. And then now this episode, they want me to believe that Cash is down bad for Valeria when they kiss. Like don't they say like I feel like we should do there's something to the effect of like it's forbidden and Cash is like, oh, I don't care, I really like you, and then they kiss.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't not following Cash's romantic through line because like what
Mm.
is this man's deal?
Yeah.
And
He
just
doesn't
the
know.
whole thing where they kiss and then just it all happens in one episode, which isn't bad. There's movement finally, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like the payoff was a result of the buildup. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't want to sound
Yeah.
like a hater, but I just didn't
No,
like it.
It's
no,
okay.
I think you're totally right. And I think that's the 11th, more of the 11th hour drama. That was the example I was thinking of. We spent the whole season watching this will they, won't they, and go back and forth, only for them at literally the 11th hour of the season. We're not going to do that. Like, we didn't want it in the first place. Why couldn't you have figured that out 6 episodes ago? You know what I mean? And I will say, credit to the actors, the chemistry between them when they were doing that little dance, and then they were like, "Why are we dancing around?" And Cash was like, "I'm not dancing." They
Oh,
had
that's
me,
what it is.
yeah.
Michael always knows. You guys always know what I'm trying to say.
But they had me hooked for those 30 seconds. I was like, in another world, in another show, in another timeline. I
Another
could maybe,
season.
I could maybe get
Hmm.
behind this. I was like, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in, and then they were out. I was like, what was the point in this? Why are we doing this? Why did you do this to me? And
I
like
was
this,
literally almost that Viola Davis gif from How to Get Away with Murder where she rolls her eyes, grabs her purse, and walks out. I was like, I know you just didn't do that."
it was so frustrating, and I'm like, this would be good storytelling if they were the couple of the show. You're like, oh, you had me invest, and now they're not invested, but they're not the couple of the show.
And
That's
I'm
the
not
end of that
invested
story.
enough to care when she walks away crying.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you
I'm
mean.
sorry. I feel for her. Valeria, I'm so sorry. I get it. You like him. We're just not in it with you yet. I don't know. Some of that stuff feels you need to earn that
Yeah.
as a TV show. And in my opinion, the show does a lot of things that it has not earned.
Hmm.
I am loving this, by the way. Like this is the thoughts, the explanations, the analysis, but it's also because like there is something to be said about shows that you find comfort in. Ride is one of them for me. But
Mhm.
also, I love when you can be like, I enjoy this show, but I love when people are like, it's critically not here with you. Let me explain why. Because I think that it allows you to also think about storytelling and what it is about shows that you find soothing that don't actually work, overall for a season.
Yeah.
And I think for this one, it's that they only have 10 episodes. And so they made choices in this season that you can't make in a 10 episode season because there's just
Mhm.
not enough room to grow it.
As we will see, and as I brought up, I feel like last week, putting it up against Wild Cards, like comparing the two, because they're the two shows that we're watching, they're in the same circumstance, kind of, with their episode order. I just gotta continue handing it to Wild Cards for somehow locking in on a pacing and a structure and a slow burn that is effective.
Hmm.
And look, I can totally see Ride being like a comfort show that you don't take seriously. I think it's just for me starting out enjoying it and was like, oh, I'm gonna be getting my next like unserious comfort show that like is a guilty pleasure. But like as it's gone on, I feel like the potential that I had, maybe it is just the buildup in my own brain, but I just do feel like sometimes these storylines aren't living up to the potential that this show has with the setup that it has, the characters it has, the actors it has. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of potential, and it's frustrating because I do care about the show and I want it to be good. I want to love it, but there's just things that I don't know. It's like when you watch something and you can see the potential slipping through their fingers, that's when you get frustrated.
Yeah, it feels like the season's losing momentum the longer it goes on, which is not really something we should be saying about a 10 episode season. Was this format not concocted to ensure that shows maintain momentum? Because I know when it started, the first episode was a little mixed. We thought there's so much potential, but we were like, we'll get there. By the time we got to episode 3, we're like, I'm in it, I'm hooked, I'm all along for this ride. I had to get one more in there. Now we've made it to episode 7. Was
This is
your
8.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what how time moves anymore. Sabrina, whatever episode Sabrina a couple of weeks ago you thought was your least favorite episode. Last week I wasn't totally fussed on either. This week isn't Reed's favorite episode. I feel like the show's dramatically starting to lose momentum the closer it heads towards the finale. And not to make this comparison again, but as you see on Wildcards, it's significantly gaining momentum the closer it gets to the finale. So maybe the show needed a longer season. I know I shouldn't say that when it's already starting to run out of momentum, but I just don't feel like the pieces are falling where they need to fall, considering the finale is only 2 episodes away.
I would worry what they would do with more
Oh,
episodes,
I
though.
totally agree. Yeah.
I
Because
I feel
they feel so comfy, like they're just in this world. They feel settled enough to do episodes where they're just kind of coasting. So I'm kind of like, what would they do with more episodes? I don't know.
I think with more episodes, you would have, if these were the choices made, um, time to breathe in terms of seeding backstory and having more flashbacks, which I know for you, Reed, is like, if you can't tell it in the present, then don't tell it at all. But like, I think Austin would probably become more of a character that's multifaceted. And it would allow you to really learn more about the McMurrays past. It seems every episode you get a little bit of information about why they're such a famous family and what it's meant to the boys to be Dustin McMurray's children. Um, and because they're only seeding it, it makes it difficult to really latch on to certain things. Like Austin has a great moment. It's selfish, but it does, it's good for more exploration of his character, that he is not a great dude. I mean, we knew this, but like to hear him, in his own words describe the reason why he's marrying Missy and what that looks like as someone who's actually in love with her, I thought was a great scene. Like I thought it really showed you the type of person he was, which is ambitious and self-centered in a way that was more than just, the attitude that he gives and is actually in his dialogue. I mean, it's the day before his wedding, and no one's saying that he can't watch rodeo footage before he gets married, but the idea that he's only marrying Missy because she's his muse and she has great insights as a coach, wow, like
Mhm.
mind blowing in the sense that like certain things are starting to make sense because there's some Missy's personality doesn't really seem like the kind that Austin would go for. But her being able to serve him in his sport, in his ambition, in his rise to the top, that part makes sense.
hmm We did say a couple of episodes ago we got bad vibes from him. Maybe that was just us being intuitive, veteran TV watchers. But like, I feel like our feelings about that were totally fulfilled watching that flashback in the most recent episode because what did I write down here? He was so arrogant, full of his own self-importance, and not all that. I'm sorry. Um,
Yes. Drag him.
yeah, I got yeah. And then the fact that obviously it's a tricky situation if you know how your brother feels about your fiance. Of course, what are you supposed to do? You're not just going to be like weddings off. But he was so unmoved by that. So well, I got her in the end. So and bats his eyelids and literally, I thought the most telling moment was after that conversation was over. He went back, turned his back on Cash, and went back to watching the video he was told not to watch. He'll not be told. And I think that sums him up perfectly. We spent the whole season getting bad vibes from this man, and we saw him for all of 5 minutes. I think we were right to feel that way.
For sure. For sure. Because he is very much. Uh, I wish, as much as we talk about the Bulls and we see the Bulls sometimes, I kind of want rodeo to be even more in the show. Like, as far as knowing the gravity of the type of sport it is, obviously we know it's dangerous. But in terms of the town and what it means to the town, we know what it means to the McMurrays. But as outsiders looking in, whenever they talk about, well, you're using the McMurray name, like that in itself is the kind of currency. And it's like, but we're only with y'all though. So we never actually see what anybody else feels about the name. We know that Miss Isabel is a town, like really a town elder. She's highly respected, but she's not often in the town. So we don't really see that rather than but we just hear it a lot. So I don't know. I just feel like we need more. If they have gravitas, I want to see the gravitas.
One thing I did like, and I will bring up something I liked about the episode, and we talked about it, I think, last week, but the scene between Isabel and Missy, where they were just two girls talking on the couch about Isabel going on a date, that was fun. That was
Hmm.
cute.
That was real nice. Cody is really the only person who's making headway. In a real nice way. I told y'all, I think I just told Michael because I think it was our pod, Michael. Um, that's the romance I'm invested in, Miss Isabel and Mr. Cody.
Mhm.
Because it just, I mean, if it was just them, I'd be fine. Like, let me see her find love again. Yes, of
Her,
course,
yeah,
because
her
the
second
children aren't
chance
giving,
romance.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's more compelling, I think, than whatever mess Missy's
I
currently
know. And
in.
he's so sweet and unassuming as well and slightly awkward of himself. And I liked when she agreed to go on the date and she looked at him with that like look of bemusement, like it was just setting in on her. Like we've been sitting watching this for weeks thinking, "Oh, that man likes her," and she didn't pick up on it because she's always so invested in something else. That's why I think I agree, Reed. The scene with her at Missy was so important because you just got to see her just be Isabel for a change, not the McMurray legend, not the owner of the ranch, not the person running everyone's businesses at the moment or trying to get these contracts signed. Just Isabel, and I wish we get to know more of her.
She was so dramatic in that one scene where she was sitting in the chair and her head was down on the one in front of her. She just wouldn't move. It took me out. I feel bad, but he was like trying to ask her what's wrong, and she was just like head down, just like in distress. It was an amusing like tableau, I think, for me to see because they sat on it for so long. I love it.
It is so good. I think she's for me like the best.
Hmm.
Like every time we decide
Hmm.
to be in Isabel's side of the story, it just really feels weighty and there are stakes and there's softness and there's the grief in but her love for what she does for her family, for her ranch, for their legacy. All that is mixed in there and it's great. And all the scenes she ever has with Missy are always highlights of an episode because I mean, she walks the line of being her mother-in-law, but also her friend. And so it's just really nice whenever they do get a moment together to just talk. And in this case with Isabel, talk about, she thinks she went on a date. She's not sure, but she thinks she did.
What was the explanation she gave? She said she ate something with him
Oh,
somewhere. It was
yeah,
a really
because
funny line.
I don't remember the line, but she did go eat because he said when he asks her in the kitchen, there's food left, and she says, "Are you asking?" He's like, "I'm inviting," and he just holds out his elbow for her to take it. So,
Yeah. Was it that I went for dinner or had food with a man who wasn't a member of my family or something like that?
So yeah, it was something like that. The
Yeah.
way she described it was really cute and funny.
And
yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like I said it before. She's got so much depth, and what if, like Reed said, that scene with her just sitting on the chair, the scene with her sitting with Missy at the end. Isabel is such a fascinating character, and she's always caught up in somebody else's mess. It's just nice to see her get to just be herself for a change. And I guess I could say the same thing about Missy as well. Missy has been played at this kind of like flat level for me throughout the season where she's always the underdog in a new situation. She's like, oh, I couldn't possibly do this. And it's only via conversations like this you can see that she's actually a really powerful and independent woman. And I just don't like the fact she keeps getting put in these situations where she has to keep proving herself, like then defending herself. Like when the Bookers turned on her, she had to defend herself. When Gus made that weird comment about how I just need to be with my family now, she was on the defense again. And I'm like, tell me, this is what's making me like root for Missy and Cash a lot quicker because it's the only situation where it feels like she doesn't always have to justify herself or defend herself. He gets her in a way that nobody else did. You can see in the flashbacks with Austin, sometimes she feels like she has to justify herself or defend herself. I just want justice for Missy, and we're running out of time for that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of
Yeah.
fed up with Cash 'cause it seems like he goes wherever the wind blows. Whoever looks at him in the right way in the moment, he's like, "Ooh, I have a crush on you."
He's he was a little annoying this episode for me, even outside of the Valeria stuff, when we're I know he doesn't get the gravity of the wedding dress.
Mm.
Totally
How did he rip
understand that.
it? He ripped it or spilled on it? What happened?
So Missy spilled
It
Rob to
happened
Rob.
so
coffee.
It
quickly.
really did. Wasn't you
Yeah,
were not supposed to rub into it in that particular design. You're not supposed to rub the stuff into it, and that's what he did
yeah.
in the tour of the fabric.
That's the one moment he cared though, because before that, when they were freaking out
Right.
about the coffee being on the dress, he was like, I don't know, like I was like, what's this? What he's gonna wear it once? I was like, so it's a coffee stain on the dress, whether it's $20 or 35,000.
I
No one wants that on there.
couldn't. I was with them when she said it was $35,000. I'm like, girl,
I would have,
you overpaid.
I'd have loved if they actually did the real price point of that dress,
That was
because
like
it's
off the
not.
rack
It,
Macy's.
it was not that.
I'm being a hater. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I take it back.
It's probably somewhere around 500 to 1,000, just based on the amount of beating and the sheer stuff. Maybe I could be wrong. It could be like I could get an email from someone who's like,
But I'm
actually,
like, why
it's
is the
200.
$35,000 dress not in a dress bag? What were they doing with it?
It wasn't a dress bag, so she was. I don't know why they were putting it on this beautiful mannequin of that clearly looked like it came from like Free People or Madewell. And I was like, for what reason? Why does it need to
They
be
had it in that
displayed in
dark
Missy's house?
barn. It was weird.
Well, that's because they had to run because Laura's supposed to be getting dressed at Missy's cabin, but they couldn't have the stain dress at the cabin, so they went running down to Tufts practice space, and that
Mhm.
is where they were doing the surgery on the
Talking
dress, which
about
Valeria
too
did
many
good.
hijinks.
Um,
He
Yes,
did. The sewing montage scene was hilarious. That stuff
Katie
um,
on the
Keene.
foot.
That's what I thought about Katie Keene. I was like, girl, you need to move to the Big Apple. Meet Katie.
there was so much unseriousness in that first half of the episode over the wedding dress. And maybe that's because the newbie weren't supposed to care about Laura or this wedding or this man because there was no storyline there because we didn't know these people. But it was just so much played for laughs, like almost sitcom-y. The fact that the coffee, the way Missy threw the coffee and it just happened to stay in it after 5 minutes of, oh, we can't judge it. But the thing that
See?
really took me out, because I'm going to compare it to Wild Cards again, we had two slow-mo runs on the CW this week. The wild cards one was very powerful and intense. The ride one was Cash and Valeria running out of that house with the dress in hand in slow motion, while just and Laura and Missy were coming in the truck in the back, and Missy was like, "Look over there!" So that she couldn't see her. Such a ridiculous, over the top. I never thought I'd get a slow motion run with two people holding a wedding dress. Like, took me out of
That's
the episode.
another thing. I just kind of want them to pick a tone. Pick a tone.
I love that shot though because it's beautiful.
Incredible.
It doesn't look. I was trying to figure out whether that was actually morning, if or it was nighttime. There's something about like the sun, whether the sun was rising, the sun was because it was giving sunset
Yeah, it
as they were
was.
running away, and I was like, "What time did y'all film this?" Because it's not the afternoon.
It was it was very much a Western kind of scene, but
Mhm.
like slow motion on a horse running away from someone who's putting your life in danger. Sure. Running off with a wedding dress at toe. Not so much.
Not so much.
But
Before we
was the
wrap,
only thing, I'm sorry,
no, go
we
ahead.
might be touching on the same thing. The only thing that happened for Tough was that he called Julian. Is that his name?
Mm,
Hmm.
Called him his boyfriend. Is that the
mhm,
only thing that
Hmm.
happened?
No.
Oh, okay. See, I was so checked out.
mm. What am I missing?
So, and this is because y'all aren't gonna care about belt buckles, but there's a moment
Oh
with
yeah.
Isabel is like, there's a belt buckle missing. Tuff's the one who notices the belt buckle is being
Yeah.
worn by Tucker, and he has no idea why his father's belt buckle is with the pawn shop man.
Okay.
It's important for the next episodes. Well, no,
I'm
it's
sure it is.
Uh, but I mean, if you put it into context, I mean, if you were to know that that is a family heirloom and you were never told that it was given away for whatever reason, you too would be raising your eyebrow. Like, why is dad's belt with this man that we
hmm
can't stand? Like, what's happening?
But
Go
that
ahead.
Okay.
that's
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for the belt buckle next week.
That's the structure issue for me because again, this man showed up. This man who we're all kind of raising our eyebrows at showed up in the first half of the episode for a single scene. The belt buckle thing became a subplot of a subplot of a subplot of a subplot, and then it wasn't mentioned again after that. I'm like, this. I get seeding important information, but that kind of goes against the basis on everything television related because that had nothing to do with this episode. And then it became all about the wedding, and it wasn't even the big thing at the end. The big, because obviously that's going to be Valeria's revelation. Feels like it served no purpose, and this would have been tighter if we'd seeded that into the next episode when that's going to be all about the belt buckle. It sounds like.
I
Yeah.
feel like let me just entice y'all. And actually, let me just say this on pod too. For those who've been on our ride journey, we are going to double up on the episodes next week. We're going to
For my request.
Yes. So it will be a two-parter, and it will happen before the finale airs on the CW, just so you're aware. But for you guys, Tucker as a person is important. And this, I hated this, but Laura's mama clocks Valeria for a reason. Her knowing her from Houston is important. Valeria was lying. So I don't know I can't remember if that's what she tells them in the beginning or not. But the belt buckle, Tucker, Houston, it all is part of the journey.
Okay. That's a good tease.
Here we go.
I hope you're satisfied. I was satisfied with the finale, but only because I love drama. And by the finale, I mean the last few minutes.
Oh, there.
Because the last few minutes, I was like, I'm going to watch season 2 because I want to see this fall apart.
And Hallmark was like, no.
Yes. Actually, we're going to continue forward without you. Thank you for this season. Moving into wild cards, though, dare I say, my favorite episode of the season for very obvious reasons. If you've ever heard me speak about television.
I mean, I used to say that all the time when we were watching Wild Cards for like the first 5 weeks. This is my favorite episode. This is my favorite episode. Watching that one last night, I was like, "Ooh, that feeling's been renewed." I don't know what to say about that episode. Intense, unserious, all of the things we love about the show. Yeah, quite possibly my favorite too.
I love that for you guys.
Oh no.
I don't want to be. This is my hater episode. I love the character stuff. The case was too intense for me. Sorry.
Okay.
That's fair.
It was the tonal shift. I was waiting for it. I was like, oh, cool. She's in a bank robbery. It's going to be like I don't know if you guys have seen the bank robbery episode of The Nanny. I was like, she's going to Uno reverse card on the robbers, and she's going to run that whole bank robbery. And it was very serious. It was not like The Nanny. And I was like, this is a lot happening. It's not usually this like super intense for this long.
Yeah.
And you guys know like traditional like super dramatic procedurals are a tough one for me. So yeah. But I don't want to bring it down because it was still a really great episode of television. I can objectively say that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I actually have written down that what do you call it? Wild Cards went a bit more into this. It leaned more. We always say it has a balance between unserious and serious, cut down quite well, but normally more so by leaning into the unserious end of it. It did feel like this week's episode kind of leaned more into the serious element of it. Of course, there were still plenty of unserious elements in there. Like Max did end up calling a lot of the whole bank robbery element. Vanessa was fantastic when Max had to take over and do the phone call, have the like coded messages with the chief and everything. But yeah, they packed an awful lot into this episode as well. Some twists in it, I will say. I think I kind of saw the twist coming halfway through, but we'll get to that when it comes. But yeah, a heck of a penultimate episode, that's for sure.
Yeah, really built it up.
Well, I love a procedural.
I
Like
do
not
love
all of
this.
them, but the minute because I hadn't actually looked at the promo stills for this episode, so I had no idea we were going full tilt CBS. And they did.
I saw your tweets. You were living your dream life.
Yes,
And I was excited for you.
It was like if CBS had a little sister. It was like it was like so good. I think it's also because we started off with a lighter tone. And we got to see a little bit more of the city too. That was fun. I kind of want to walk around more in
I
the
love that.
city.
It was really
Um,
pretty when she was walking around. I don't know if that was the beginning or end when she was walking and there's like the leaves and
oh,
everything.
it's the
Hmm.
beginning. Yeah, it's because we're going on our coffee run, and apparently the baristas know that they usually get it together. So I was like, this is so cute that y'all being read by these coffee vendors right now. And like the fact that they missed each other. And like I was just like, this is where we need to be. This is like truly feels exactly where we want the ship to be in its moment. The colors are popping. You both look good as you're walking through the city. Like I wanted them to like kind of meet in front of a bench, but that did not happen. Um, but I just like that you got like unseriousness and beautifulness and then peak drama. Like
Hmm.
between like the minute Ellis is like, "Hey, sunshine," and I was like, "Not you calling her sunshine. Why are you so happy?" This is but and then like the screaming and the panic, and I was like, "Yes, go Farrell. It's what I want." And he does. Like that's one of the things I really appreciated was that like they're like, "Yeah, we're in season one. We only had this is the ninth episode of a 10th episode season, but that doesn't mean we can't have him go rogue because Max is in danger." And I was like, "Exactly. It's exactly what needs to happen."
Yeah.
Hmm. And you did feel the gravity of their partnership. I think maybe that's why it's such a shocking tonal shift was because that opening scene was very unserious, and then the bulk of the episode was quite serious, well, a lot more serious than Wild Cards is used to be. But I do think that the underpinning like storyline in this episode was obviously the whole Max and Alice are kind of comfortable with the fact that their working relationship is coming to an end, but now they're starting to realize that they maybe didn't want it to, and they're starting to obviously realize how attached to each other they are. I agree, Sabrina. I love the opening scene, visuals downtown on a Saturday morning. More of that, please. Love it. And the fact that well, like you said, the baristas read the relationship so well, and both of them were kind of like, no, but you knew they knew the baristas were right. Um, yeah, my goodness. Like if I say if you're a fan of the Max and Alice relationship, I don't know how anyone could watch the show and not
Yeah,
be.
imagine if you watch the show and you're like, not a big fan of them.
Yeah,
What?
I don't
You're
want
watching
them
the
to get
wrong show,
together.
babe.
But like, if you weren't rooting for them before, you certainly were in this episode, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this episode needed to happen as much as I like
Hmm.
struggle with the tone of it. That's a me thing. That's not a show thing. They needed this episode to raise the stakes, and it was super effective and exactly what needed to happen. Because we're coming off of, wasn't it in episode 8, the previous one, is when it opened up with them like in their fight, right?
Hmm.
They were having a little feud, and then by the end, they came together again. This feels like a natural evolution of them coming back together and recentering themselves and understanding each other, and perhaps also understanding that there's something between them. And I think this really hit them over the face with that, and it was what needed to happen going into the finale.
Yeah, and but still tonally, while the writers knew that this is wild card, so they were still gonna give us some unseriousness even in the bank robbery. Between Max clocking all the romance drama and being invested in the relationship between the teller and the woman who's been coming to the bank for, I guess, 20 odd years, played by Alvin Sanders, I believe, who we know as Pop from Riverdale. And I have to tell you, when we find out that Carl and Irma are arguing because Carl's had an affair and he thinks he's like, I couldn't have possibly gotten her pregnant. Irma's like, I'm gonna take you for everything you have. I'm gonna bleed you dry. I was like, yes, soap opera level like drama. Because she's like, as if the whole time she was not getting off this man's neck, which she
Hmm.
shouldn't, but it was just also very funny.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like in a situation like that, we're used to seeing people like relent, or they're like, I don't care what you've done right now because you mean that you mean this so much to me in general. But no, Wildcard was not letting it drop. I love the fact that she said, I have bags to pack. He's like, you're not leaving me. And she was like, no, your bags. I just got the house remodeled. I wouldn't leave it.
She's like, the kitchen is beautiful.
Right? I love that. And between the fact then that Max also wanted to never have I ever as well, just while they weren't supposed to be talking at all. I mean, that's when you know the show got the balance right in that particular moment. It did shift back and forth. I agree, it was quite jarring from time to time, but like they definitely tried to use Max to infuse it with so much like hilarity and comedy, which is what the show does best. So it definitely tried to lighten some of the moments. Not all of them worked, but like there was definitely a lot of what's the word? wild cardsness. That's not a term, but you know what I mean, in everything it did.
Yeah, like you could, I feel like you could tell that she's human. She's gonna be in
Hmm.
that situation. She's gonna be scared. But she also knows or takes on the role of keeping the vibe light. Like she calls herself to do that. I loved too when they were being moved through the bank. They were going to that other room, and she was communicating with Ellis or whatever, but she was like, "Oh, a boardroom. That's nice." And she kept like, I was like, "Girl, you're so mouthy. I know you're doing it on purpose, but like fearless."
Love that part. And she
Yes.
she really did get to prove herself to the chief, because I have to say, wasn't a fan of Yates calling her into question, being like, could she be in on it? I'm like, nah, girl, not after she took you out for drinks last week. This feels like a setback. I get other cops and they had to ask that question, but I mean, like, just another situation for Max to prove herself. And between the like you said, wordy dialogue as she was uh walking through the building, to the fact that she was the one that got a direct line to the chief. Like the chief doesn't talk to her that much. They communicate through Alice basically. So I feel like this was just another situation for Max to prove herself. And I mean, like the monologue Alice gave to the chief at the end, you can definitely say that she did that in the end.
Yes, it really did. I mean, she's always a star, but it's just something really about this episode too, just having with them separated, and her having to be the one that really makes sure that they have a view of what's going on in the bank until Alice can do more stuff too. I really enjoyed that. I like their partnership. That even when they were separated, they worked as a
Mhm.
team. That they had her, Ricky. Also, and I wish we knew more about Ricky because he's like her. He's not her guy in the chair, but he does a lot of different things for her, and we don't actually know anything about him,
Mhm.
other than he's kind of her tech brain.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
he's like she always loses her keys. Let me just find. I always have the fob there so we can find them.
He needs to
right.
be season 2 series regular.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I totally agree. Because I feel like when he popped up, was it in the first episode or the second episode, and Ella suddenly knew a lot more about him. Obviously, that implies the conversation about them took place off screen, but I'm like, great, Alice knows more about him. I have no idea who this guy is, what he does for a living, how they know each other. I just feel like their relationship's been kind of seeded through dialogue. So I agree. I feel like if we're doing more work with Yates and Simmons, we kind of also need to do more work with him too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, especially coming off of last week's episode, because when he appeared, I said, "Oh, right, she's not alone. Why did we
Right.
say that she was during therapy? Because she does actually have someone who's been there for her and continues to look out for her." But I did like his inclusion in this episode. I also liked there's something, even for some reason the SWAT truck or whatever the Canadian equivalent is wasn't serious because it wasn't giving network real deal SWAT car. It
Mhm.
was kind of giving not Power Rangers, but something akin to that. And I kind of liked that. I kind of liked that it didn't feel like gritty, some of the tech stuff, but the tone was gritty. I don't know. It was fun to me. Especially with the leaning into the romantic drama slow-mo run after he gets shot. We
Yeah.
know he's okay, but you're just screaming because like they got him. And then she's throwing
See,
herself in danger.
after I heard the gunshot, I didn't know what to think, who shot who. So like the second she rounded that corner and saw, or when we saw, I was like, who's gonna be the one on the ground who's holding the gun? I truly
Yeah.
wasn't prepared to know which way it was gonna go.
Mhm.
And when I saw Ellis, I was like, I know you're gonna be fine, but ugh, she was going through it until I was like, in my head, I'm screaming like, he's not gonna go in there without a bulletproof vest.
And I mean, it did get to her. Like she broke. Max, who's so good at putting on faces and becoming other people, like she broke in an instant. She didn't care that robber
And you
was
know
standing over her.
why? You know why?
Why?
'Cause she loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that. I just wanted you to say it. um, yeah, my goodness. What a powerful scene. And I agree. I feel like, yes, the episode was more serious in tone than previous episodes were, but I feel like that was the moment it really kicked into
Yeah,
gear.
yeah, yeah. This series was overall the series that worked for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that was the moment. Yeah.
100,000%.
Yeah, the footing was found. We just bought into it. Then it finally felt like the episode was going somewhere because it spent an awful lot of time in the same place, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it did. Um, and I agree. I didn't know who was going to be on the floor either because I was like, well, if has him out of action, well, that's the story over then because they can just sneak up on
Yeah, it
the
would have
other
been too
person.
easy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was like, if this scene happened on screen, we know Alice would have come out on top. They just obviously needed to do that to get Max in the room. Um, but yeah, plot holes or whatever in it. I was in it, hook, line, and sinker. Um, the drama was sold, the performance was sold. The way they talked softly to each other when he came back to, um, yeah. Not that
They
I
were
wanted to
in
see him
that
get hurt, but this is the content we came for.
yeah, they were in that room, whatever room they were held hostage in, and she was holding the shirt up for much longer than she needed to. And I was like, okay, girl.
She was like here. Like I was like, I think you could stop touching. But
She's
okay.
like, probably broke some ribs. Meanwhile, it's all the way up here.
But I did love that moment because it also did the thing that the rest of the episode had been doing, where you get to see into a personal relationship, and so
But I
they
was
got
like,
to
they
deal
pulled
with
out,
it
and I was like,
too.
oh, they're not alone.
No, the whole room is
He
seeing
just
it
got his
too.
whole shirt up in front of all. Got it. Cool. Got it. Okay.
It really was. It really wasn't. They were just so great, and then the whispers.
Yeah.
The close up on the whispers. I'm glad that they told us what it was later on. But
I know, because my mind was running. Was your mind running too about what they could have possibly said? In my
Yeah.
heart of hearts, I knew it was related to the case, but I was still kind of like, tell us. What did we say?
Yeah.
W-
Oh.
I thought with Max that her thing was going to be related to the plot, but that his was more personal because he's the one we've been waiting to open up, and he's the one we've been waiting to like say how he feels or realize how he feels. So I thought when he saw her in danger that whatever when she said I have something to say to you, he was going to take that as a thing to say something important to her. But no, it was both related to the plot because they're both professionals. What can we say? Um, but I mean, like Reed said, for a hot minute there, you're like, do they have more to say? Like you really did buy into
Share with the class.
I know, please. Like it's just so. And moving away from the case, and then we'll talk. We'll dissect the case, but I'm gonna jump to the end, not before the door opens, though. I mean, not after the door opens, but they brought back the coda. Like I couldn't figure out what song it was. I was desperately trying to Shazam, and Shazam was incorrect. But I was like, is this, am I about to get attached to a song in a show? I haven't done this in a while, and it's on the CW. It tracks that like
Yeah.
so like it's one of those things that like if the song is different on the DVD, I'm gonna be upset
Oh
because
yeah,
Speaking
that
of,
needle drop.
Mole, whoever, anyone out there, DVD, please.
yeah.
Yes.
I know this
It's
is a
coming up with
Canadian
time.
thing, but I want it.
Because it's a co-production for CW, though perhaps we will finally get a CW logo on something.
Would be
Oh, wouldn't that be
nice.
nice?
Well,
Yeah.
they did throw it on the Dynasty covers. I think just to differentiate from the original. I was always confused as to why I was like, as seen on the CW, and it's like, we know.
They're like, it's
Anyway.
not. You didn't watch this on Netflix. You watched it on CW.
Well, now I want a hot sauce red
Yeah,
CW logo on the back or the front, the side, somewhere.
it goes with
For
Wild
this.
Card's color scheme. Yeah.
Yes. But we were eating this episode when it came to their relationship, like truly being fed from Alice being feral and being like, I don't care, spend the mayor's dollars. We need everyone on deck for this hostage situation. To like Max being the best and then both of them just connecting. We started this season and I was very much, I don't know if I fully trust Max, but protect her at all costs. And now I'm like, I really need y'all to protect Alice at all costs. Spend like no expenses, all right? Throw money at the problem. I don't, whatever happens, he needs to be protected. That is just how I feel. He's just so
Precious.
deeply precious and emotional. Once he's attached to you, he's attached. Like, and he
He's
gives a good speech.
he's not a golden retriever. I know there's a lot of people that compare men to golden retrievers. He's a different breed of dog that is very loyal. I don't know what breed that is, but
You have
that's
to
him.
You're right. Is
He's
he
like a Labrador or something. I don't know.
or like a shepherd?
Yeah, he's like strong and tough, but mushy, and it will be right by your side.
He's the dog on the farm. He's definitely
Yeah.
he's like an English Shepherd or something. I don't know. For people who know dog breeds, you pick.
Yeah, not gold. He's not a golden retriever.
No, he's not.
There's not to hate on golden retrievers, but he's got thoughts behind the eyes. Golden retrievers are just like, I'm not calling them dumb. I just like they're goofy, and that's not Ellis.
They're the himbos of the dog breed. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything because I was clearing my throat there, but there was like Shakespearean levels of poetry in that conversation you guys just had.
Meanwhile, I feel like I'm devolving into like internet nonsense.
I agree totally. I feel like the whole season, even though Max has been literally, again, I'm going to say this, the wild card, she's had loyalty towards him right from the beginning, and that was the surprise of the show. Even though she has had the reputation for being, well, the show wants us to believe that she's a criminal and that she can't be trusted, but she proved very early on that she could be, and that she's loyal to people who care about her. As the season goes on, we're starting to see how loyal Ellis is towards Max, and that's not in the case that he wouldn't have been loyal to her in the beginning, but he values loyalty, he values trust, and he's starting to see that this unusual wild card in his life has all of that. So I thought the moment where he spoke up on her behalf to the chief was so incredible. She was his biggest champion, even though she liked to drag him publicly, but she was his biggest champion for the longest time. He's now become hers, and I think that's an incredible full circle moment. And I agree, Sabrina, the whole moment of them like in the car at the end with the song playing, total silence. I'm sure that car ride was probably a lot more awkward in real life because there was no song playing in the background. But we bought into it. And then the big reveal in the end, like this show could have done 5 seasons, and I'm not saying we're not there yet, and we probably won't be by the end of the season. But this show could have done 5 seasons before it started teasing chemistry between them, and we would have bought it because it's so good. It's a standalone episodes of the week. Not an awful lot of time passes, but they're doing it after 9 episodes, and I'm also hooked on it, also bought into it. My goodness, I feel like I've known these characters for years. It's so good.
To jump off your point about Ellis, he's definitely the kind of character whose trust and loyalty needs to be earned. Like you need to, not that he's like actively like trying to make you pass the test, but like, he's observant. He's a little bit doubtful until proven otherwise, as is probably part of his training as a detective. Whereas Max, like once you're on the team, I mean, again, probably a product of her upbringing is with her parents of like, and we see every time she's on a case, she attaches to whoever's at the center of it and feels empathy. And she's like, I'm going to throw my body in front of yours. We're besties for life. I'll text you on Christmas. Like, that's just how she is. Whereas he's a little bit more like, yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll play it by ear. But yeah, to your other point, retweet.
To circle back to the case, though, I do love that this all started over a stamp. And that the pregnant woman who wasn't actually pregnant is a part of the plot twist. It like the fact that it's like, what is it, $3 million, and she didn't want to split it 8 ways, so she was perfectly fine for her foster siblings to get shot. So she could walk away with the money. She's like, you don't understand what it was like growing up in that house. I was like, girl, they're your siblings regardless, though. Like, your mom was a good mom because she loved you all equally. Like, why are you being hateful?
But again, I was this show always gets me nervous just because of our history of watching so much television, that I was nervous that she was actually going to be like romantically involved with the one foster brother.
Yeah, I thought that
for like, it was like a millisecond of like when the reveal was happening, I was like, oh no, 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 no. But I always forget. Like in the same breath, I was like, the show doesn't do that. It's the TV trauma happening, because on another show, that definitely would be in play.
And she really would have been pregnant, but it would have been his baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if this was 911, like that'd be on the table and it'd probably be worse.
Yeah. And you, Reed, were talking about pivots between really serious and unserious. I feel like the 911s do that extremely. You have suddenly really serious scenario followed by suddenly really unserious. Wildcard's got the balance a tiny bit better, I think, just because it knows what kind of show it is.
Yeah.
I have to ask, did you guys catch on to the twist before it happened
Mm,
about the lady being involved?
I did not.
No.
I did. Um, listen to me, I did. No, the reason I did was because I know when you're an unserious show, you can get to know the burglar and be like, okay, maybe there's a heart in there somewhere, not an awful lot, but it's in there because he was getting on relatively well with the pregnant lady and being relatively nice, but at the same time, he was shooting Alice on first glance. I was like, something doesn't add up here. And then when she started getting more involved in the storyline, it was like, can I go to the bathroom to get or whatever? It was like, also very strange. I have to go with you. Very strange. And then when Max clocked the milk, I was like,
Okay, the milk, I
The
have to
milk, yeah.
say, the milk was a little bit of a stretch because I was like, I'm not on board with you guys because like it's totally within the realm of possibility that he just didn't taste it, the difference between almond milk.
yeah,
Mm.
Because
yeah.
like honestly, if you're putting it in coffee, I can't imagine that it's that dramatic of a taste difference.
So
Mhm.
you think they should have stopped at the she noticed that she got almond
No, I
milk
mean
instead of
it's
the
fine,
50%?
but just like that's just me poking holes and as a alternative milk enjoyer. That it's like when you're putting it in something else, you don't really taste it, but I get where the thread went for them, but the him drinking it and not like being like, oh, what is this? Isn't a complete tell. Her picking the almond milk and like knowing how he would take his coffee. They showed the shot, there were different milks there. And she went for almond instead of regular dairy milk. So that I'm on board with, but like him drinking it and not reacting, there's a there has to be a population of people that couldn't tell the difference between
Mhm.
that wouldn't be able to taste almond milk in it. I
Well,
don't know.
no,
That's just me.
I'm there with you only not because I know the difference as far as what it tastes like, but because I was sitting there, I was like, I've never had almond milk. Would you be able to taste the difference in the coffee? I feel like
Mhm.
I was like, I was good with you telling me that she chose the almond milk because that is odd. You wouldn't, he just said he wanted milk in it. You wouldn't just go, you know what? Let me put some almond milk in there for him. Like, who does that? It would probably just
Mhm.
be, you
Yeah.
would get the 2% on the
Yeah.
safe side.
There's definitely a population of people that would be able to taste the difference. I mean, I don't know if I would. I mean, coffee is so overpowering. Also, I don't drink coffee. I don't know. But I know like when I did drink coffee, I once got it with oat milk and I was like, huh, really didn't matter. Didn't don't taste the oat milk.
Mhm. Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like I agree. In a tense situation like that, I don't think you'd go to the effort to pick out the almond milk. So that total bought that one totally. But when she started explaining, and I was like, the more she's explaining this, the more it's starting to fall apart. But
I
I mean, I
know.
guess it did work within the confines of the show. And I guess if you're
She
not as
also did
familiar,
not put that much in it.
No, she
no,
went, I was like, is that
no,
enough to
It was
make
like a
it?
teaspoon.
right? Will it really have that impact?
It was like the splash. All done.
You're right. But I guess I did love the fact that we went from that again, maybe extreme tone shifts, but again, Wildcard pulls it off. I did like that we went from the whole like this is over moment to Max and Alice totally in their element, telling each like impressing each other with how they figured out their part of the case.
Oh, she was
It's
gagged when he said that she's
yeah,
not really
right,
pregnant. That was the
right.
kicker.
Right.
Yeah.
So that and I thought that was a really fulfilling moment when the two of them were like, if the two of us hadn't been there in that exact same situation, you probably would have gotten away with it. Because that's what they bring to the table. Each of them have their own unique talents, but maybe they'd only have figured out half of it, while the other half figured out the other part of it. So that's why they're such a good team. And I think that's why this episode really worked for me in the end, because not only are they a good team, we've known that since the beginning. They're acknowledging it now, and they're acknowledging how they need each other. And I think not to drag ride, but I think as you head towards the end of a season, that's the kind of momentum you need to be gaining. And the
See what
show
I'm
had it,
saying? They
right?
know pacing well on the show. Can we finally get to the last scene, please? Please, please, please,
Yeah,
please,
Yes,
please.
yeah,
yes, yes.
Because I'm
yes.
dying to talk about the almost kiss.
I mean, they
It's
had us.
so,
Yeah.
was it the pilot that they kissed?
Yep,
Yes.
Like we've gotten a kiss, but this still felt monumental.
It
it
did.
did.
The
Yep.
tension was tensioning.
It
Hmm.
was after that car ride and okay, wait. Let me rewind like 4 seconds before the car ride and the almost kiss. He was like the thing with the he's not off of whatever probation he needs
Oh
to be
yeah.
off of. There, okay, so, but what I'm gleaning is she feels bad about him not being able to like move forward, but he defended her. Okay, so we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they didn't say it.
Complicated personal feelings involved, I
Yeah.
guess.
They didn't say on the show, but I assume that means that their arrangement still stands then for longer. Like they're not just going to say, right, you go back to being a cop on the water and you go back to potentially going to jail. I assume just the fact that it's on hold means that their wild cards arrangement just stands for a little bit longer, which isn't the worst case scenario. We knew there'd be some
Right?
kind of, we knew there'd be some kind of addressing of this towards the, I kind of thought it would come in the finale, but who knows? Maybe there'll be another twist in the finale. But yeah, obviously they felt a certain kind of way about the way things were going on. Other emotions were all over the place, and they did what they should have done, which was come together over it. And I knew when they previously showed their lingering looks in the boat, I was like, oh well, that was the most important moment until this point. So are we going to get an even more important one? And well, we did. Um, the tension, the way they were slowly being pulled towards each other, her hand on his heart.
In the
Um,
same place.
yeah, yeah, just incredible moment, and then it was ruined.
Okay, I have to ask. Okay, so the reveal is that she's married. Did we call this?
You did possibly in either the episode with Rachel or perhaps even the pilot, because again, student of TV, Professor Reed Gaudens.
I was gonna say, I was like, when it happened, I was like, oh, wait. Like I was shook, and then I was like, I feel like we talked about this as like an option of something that could happen. I don't know. Someone's gonna have to go back in the archives, not one of us, a listener. Someone will tell us, hopefully, fingers crossed, if we brought it up, because now I want to know.
I know, right?
Like if we were like on the nose or like we it must have just been like a throwaway prediction or something. But
It makes
it
sense though.
works. It works.
I was
Because
like,
I
no,
know this is going to be like some weird arrangement. Like they weren't in
yeah,
love. I know it.
I know they definitely played it like Addison Shepherd showing up in the season one finale of Grey's Anatomy, like right as Meredith and Derek were having their moment. I was like, not him coming out of here like her in such a like a jaw-dropping kind of moment after episode 9 too. It was just big reveal, and then you're supposed to think, well, what does this mean? Where did this go? But I assume there's something in place there. Of course, it'll call Max's honesty into question, and there'll be a whole like, I thought I trusted you in the finale. No doubt, probably. But I mean, like, I'm here for the drama. I hope Max and Alice get some kind of moment in the finale.
But did he not tell her about being engaged?
I
He
don't believe.
did
I don't
not.
think. Yeah, he didn't. No,
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so Ellis,
remember
careful with
that.
that reaction.
I think what's great about the reveal though is full disclosure, I was spoiled for it. That was one of the
Uh,
things I had been spoiled for
uh,
while live tweeting. But I still ended up gasping because I
See,
I
when TV is
completely
good, it doesn't
forgot.
matter if you were spoiled or not.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think because it's just the way things are set up, which is kind of why I am glad that they had in this episode had already told us they're going to continue on in the partnership. Don't worry about that part. That's not the big finale reveal, season
Mhm.
finale reveal. They just did it in this episode so we can move on. Um, but it worked so well because it was like you had the big red door, you had the tension, their voices are getting softer, they're moving closer, they both have these beautiful eyes as they gaze deeply into each other's eyes. And then this man just opens the door and we're like, who are you? What why? Why are you here? And she's just like, it's my husband. I'm like, he's your who? He's your
Right.
what?
It's gonna is it gonna be like a green card thing or like when in Friends when Phoebe thought she married that gay ice skater and then she has to get a divorce and then she's like, wait, you're not gay? It was like a whole thing. It was really funny. It's gonna be some kind of weird circumstance, I feel like.
Well, yes, because in the preview, Max says this is her chance to make something right.
Oh, I
And
see. The second I see the executive producer screen, it's Abbott time. So I never see the preview for the next episode.
she says she really needs to do this, whatever they're doing. Oh, heist. It's a heist. What am I talking about? It's a they're getting something. I don't know why my mind is giving me a red Fabergé egg. It's probably not even an egg,
Hmm.
but she has to do something, and she needs Ellis's help, and whatever it is going to make things right between her and her husband, which again, I do like y'all think that it's something either involving some type of crime they were going to commit, or he was going to be arrested,
It's
and
probably
she
a Purple Heart situation where they got married for the insurance benefits or something.
There has to be more to it.
or so she doesn't, unless this is just happens in the US, but like so she doesn't have to stand trial against him. So if she was the only
Yeah.
witness and she
Mm,
like let's just get
That's
married so
something she
they can't
would,
compel
yeah,
me.
she would totally get married for any reason.
yeah.
That's just who she is. She'd be like, "Oh, it'll help you? Yeah, let's get married. Who cares?"
Hmm.
Because at first when he showed up, the fact that they had the USB pen stuff in the or USB drive stuff in the previous line, and then it didn't really play a role in the episode at all. So maybe that was just clever seeding. I thought this man, when he first showed up, was going to be like that. Finally caught up with her. The fact that she had all this information on the mob, that was finally what was going to catch up with her. Because like even though Max has proven herself, her loyalty was questioned in this episode again, and she proved herself again. So it's gonna come out at some point, and they're all gonna be like, "Oh, I thought I could trust you. You kept this information from us." So it does make it does make you wonder, and that's what I was thinking: is this man related to that? And then which when he said she said husband, I was like, didn't expect that one coming. Um, so I guess the USB drive will come up for a different reason in the finale, or is it tied into it? I don't know. But I mean, like, seeding that information previously did a good job because that was my instant reaction. I was like, well, clearly this man's to do with the mob because that's the only lie she's still telling. And then she said, my husband. And I was like, what?
But
Yeah.
going into the finale, don't we also still have the unanswered question from the pilot of her and her dad
Mm-hmm.
talking about some plan?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Maybe that
still?
involves him
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
because we
lot we
don't
still
know
don't
what
know.
because the job that they did or tried to do went sideways, and that's how George ended up in prison in the first place. Perhaps this man was also part of that job.
So we have ominous plan, mystery husband, the mom Sabrina's convinced is gonna pop up, which I'm on board with
Mhm.
that too. We have the mystery of Ellis's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got a lot on the burners, which is
And one more
exciting.
episode. Yes. Oh, that I know. So I know the season finale is going to be really good, not because I've been spoiled, but just because of everything that they've been cooking. And I just really cannot wait to find out what this season one. I'm gonna say it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
and
this could have been the finale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
I
like, I just know 10 is gonna be even better.
Yeah, I would have sunk down into the pillows if this was the finale, though. Like I'd have been. It's one of those you're so excited, but also deeply bitter because you have to wait however amount of months in order to find out like what's going on.
Mm-hmm. I know. I agree. I feel like the finale has to be huge because not all of the stuff's going to get answered, but I feel like they're going to make a damn good attempt at trying to give us most of the answers, or at least no doubt it'll answer half of the questions and answers, give us half of the answers and set us up with even more questions because there's so much going into this. It wasn't until Reed said it out loud. I was like, oh yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, there's that. So there's actually a lot to deal with. I'm just ready to see how they do it. Like, and with another show, I'd be like 40 minutes isn't enough, but I feel like Wildcard is going to do a damn good attempt at giving us what we want
They're
and then
just
probably taking us away from us.
yeah, they're so smart about
Hmm.
how
They
they
are.
give out information.
I want to be in the writers' room and ask the
Yeah.
I
questions,
hope
pick the
they're like,
brains.
not that I don't want them to work before they're supposed to, but like I hope they're like brainstorming because I want that season 2 renewal
Hmm.
Hmm.
and I want it to be back by fall.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want a fall season. I want Max and Ellis in cute coats. I
Yeah.
want cold Vancouver weather or wherever they're filming. Like this is the perfect show for like that cozy like I love a show where they're in coats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. More downtown on Saturday mornings in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Just beautiful shots, beautiful coats, along with beautiful
Yeah.
storytelling. Um, Before we end the pod, y'all, for the US fans of wild cards, stay out of the social media tags. I beg of you.
Hmm.
The Canadian girlies have seen it. They've seen it. And the gifts will be coming. Mute everything possible so you do not get spoiled.
Hmm. I nearly fell into that trap last night. Thankfully, I stayed off of social media after I nearly got caught.
Thankfully, I even though I've like liked tweets about wild cards, my whole timeline has just been like Dua Lipa album announcement. Where is Taylor Swift? Where is Kate Middleton? Like all of the stuff that isn't involving. And so I'm spoiler free and I'm happy. But I say that now and I'm going to get spoiled the second we stop recording. I just know it.
Hopefully not. Everyone try to be spoiler free as much as possible.
Yeah.
Oh my, this live tweeting is gonna be y'all. If you are a part of my live tweet gang, I'm not gonna be in the tag. I'm not gonna be in the tag. I'm just gonna stay in my own little bubble. So please just reply to my tweets because I'm scared of the tag.
We want to go in blind. We don't want to spoil for us.
No. But thank you guys for watching Where the CW Spiral. I'm Sabrina.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Reed.
Bye, y'all.